And welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast, brought to you by Love You Hard TV. It's the first time we're saying that, and it's the first time that we have an episode on Love You Hard TV, where you're probably watching this. And we have a lot of great stuff to get to today, a lot of great Spurs stuff. But AJ, James, we got the bums in the house. How you guys feeling about things recently?
James, you have a lot more to get off your chest than I do because somebody's wife had a little baby, and James, you look very, very well rested.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I wish I could say that I was, but yeah, no, little Wyatt came on February 4th, so he's about a week and a half old, and mom and baby are happy and healthy, and all good things to report here. Good things to report here. So the newest bum is... Well, he got his first taste of victory right out the womb, but the last little week has been not so great.
Yeah,
it's been
absolutely.
A little rough.
Yeah,
it's been a little rough.
Not as smooth as a baby's bottom. It's been like a diaper change.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily say we shit the bed. Honestly, 3 out of the last 4 games, to be brutally honest. And the one game we did win was against one of the worst teams I've ever seen play basketball. So it's not like we've been playing well.
And it's not like we played well that game, too. We played really shitty that game.
It was not an inspiring performance at all.
No, not even a little bit. But thank you so much for everyone joining us today. Welcome to our new listeners. Welcome to the Baseline Bums podcast. We're fun. We're cool people, guys. We like to talk Spurs. We're going to talk a lot of mess. It's going to happen. But we're here to talk about the Spurs. We got All-Star Weekend coming up. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. And then Saturday is Galentine's Day. I heard that's a thing now. Shout out to Parks and Rec. So we got a lot to get to. We got a lot to get to, and we got to dunk on people, man. There's a lot. We might be here for like 4 hours, like a Joe Rogan podcast with Alex Jones. But hopefully we're not.
No. We're not going to be here 4 hours. I can guarantee you that. But we do have a lot to get to. We do have a lot to get to. We did play the NBA champs last night. We knew it was going to be an uphill battle, but for most of the game, you know, the truth was very apparent, and we were getting outplayed. And really, it was poor 3-point shooting. There was a point in the game where we were 1 for 19 from beyond the arc. That's not a recipe for success, and it just leaves me scratching my head and wondering, are we taking too many threes?
Well, I think we tried to play the champs at their own game, and we saw why they're the champions last night. And whether you're trying to take too many threes or not, I don't think that's a macro problem, but you just saw last night the shooting is not there.
No.
As a whole, whether you're going to try to take too many threes or not, they don't have the accuracy.
That we just could not hit a shot. We looked awful. I mean, we looked rough. I don't know. I was texting the group last night, and I was like, is this a kind of a microcosm of they want to get to the All-Star game, or are we just having a bad shooting night? Is it kind of half and half? And you know, James, you said that we're not good enough to phone it in, but I mean, it didn't look great, and it seemed like the Celtics were playing with their food. I mean, in the third and fourth quarter, whenever we were trying to make our run, they're like, we'll give them an opportunity, make them cut it to 5, and we'll just blow them out at the end. So,
and Doris Burke touched on it. You know, there was the first quarter, which was a complete and utter disaster, and the effort picked up from the Spurs after that. They hung around. It was tough to say that you ever felt like they had life, though.
No.
The Celtics showed you why they're that tier above.
There are a few tiers above us.
And they had no Jaylen Brown or Drew Holiday. You know, that's what a good team does. They take care of business, shorthanded or full strength.
Right. I mean, it just looked like you said, like they were just a step above us, even missing key players, all-star players. They just absolutely dominated us. And that huge 20 to 4 run That happened mostly in the first quarter. It was like we just came out flat, didn't show any effort, and those are the kind of games that just frustrate me the most. If we get outplayed because we're playing an experienced team that can close out a game, sure, but really if it's just about energy in the first quarter, getting beat out of the gate, man, we're a young team and that shouldn't be a big problem on a game like that. But yeah, it's tough.
There's just so many open threes in that first quarter. I mean, the Celtics finished the night with, I believe, 54 attempts, something along those lines. So it was a ton. But, I mean, just looking in the first quarter, they were all open. They were all good shots. Mm-hmm. And so, you know the Celtics, that's their game plan. So to me, it speaks to a lack of discipline and kind of directionless coaching.
I would agree. Coaching has become a huge focal point here in the Spurs fan base. On Twitter, on Instagram, on all the things, Mitch Johnson's getting roasted. And understandably so. At one point in the first quarter, and I'm glad I texted you guys this, we had a lineup on the floor of Castle, Fox, Keldon Johnson, Champagnie, and Sohan. What are we doing?
Yeah, and how are you expected to stop Kristaps Porzingis with that lineup?
Like, or just Jason,
anybody. Well, I mean, we're really hurting for front court players right now. That's why I mean, like we just signed Bismack Biyombo. I mean, Charles Bassey has the MCL sprain, so he's not playing. So whenever Wemby's out of the game, we're really getting dominated. But I want to highlight something in that Kristaps Porzingis, even with Wemby in the game, was absolutely feasting. He started the game 6 for 7, mostly being guarded by Wemby. Pump fakes, little moves around the basket, was able to finish, was still able to find mid-range and three-point attempts. And I think that, and I fucking hate to say this, but he really showcased exactly what you need to do to beat Wemby. That's go into him, put a little bit of size, finish around him, and if you go up and you get him to actually jump and you can just get a little touch, I mean, I know that Porzingis is also 7'3", so he has a high release as well. But at the same time, if you get Wemby to jump, that is actually a great way to attack him, be a point of attack, and not allow him to help side D. I think that's just that was a key move that Boston played.
And Porzingis is just such a unique. I mean, they don't call him the unicorn for no reason. He can pull up from 30. He can do all of the interior finishing and footwork that you were speaking on, Rob. And so, yeah, I think it presents a unique challenge for Wemby because not many guys can just straight up look him in the eye, just height wise. And maybe there's something to that. Maybe it spooked him a little bit.
Well, it wasn't just him. It was everyone on the Celtics team. It seemed like every guy on the court was putting hands on Wemby or bumping Wemby or making it really difficult. I mean, he would come up from the baseline to set a high pick and roll, and Hauser would give him an elbow, or Torrey Craig would push him around a little bit. I mean, he was never not being touched. And I think it really frustrated him, and it looked like he was getting really tired at the end of the first quarter, or going into the second quarter. He had a lot of hands on the hips, a lot of like kind of reassessing kind of what was going on. So I don't know if something's going on with Wemby, if he has some kind of aching ailment that needs to be addressed, or he's just getting beat up, or he's hell, he might be just tired of losing at this point. And so anytime things go south, he's just like, what the hell do I need to do?
Maybe he's just hit a wall. I mean, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
It's a long season. We're kind of in those dog days, quote unquote, middle of the season. And I think your text in that group made sense last night when it comes to phoning it in. When you're a guy like Wemby, it's hard knowing there's no help coming. And I actually, in all of this, feel the worst for Jeremy Sohan because I feel like the past couple of years, he's never really gotten to showcase or settle in his natural role. Last year it was the point guard experiment, and now he's being asked to play the backup 5. And I think, you see the chatter in Spurs Twitter and beyond of what Jeremy Sohan's true value is. And I don't think we've been able to see it for long stretches of time. And I think that's a disservice to him and the team at large, because when this team is ideally running right, that's kind of the core. That's the heart. That's the Draymond Green. And you're cutting yourself off at the knees by playing him out of position so frequently.
Yeah, that's very true because his effort is very much needed. You see a lot of games where he has 12, 13, 14 rebounds. Those are games that we end up winning because we get extra possessions because we're using him effectively. And that doesn't happen when we're wheeling out this small ball lineup and we're getting dominated on the glass because he's guarding a 7'2", 7'3" guy.
But think about the ridiculousness of kind of what I just said. Like we've experimented with this same guy at point guard and center and pretty much everywhere in between, and he's 21 years old.
He's that versatile.
He's that versatile, and that's a credit to him. But I think for this team to take their next step, the roles have to be a little more defined.
Absolutely. And I think that definition will begin as soon as we have a legitimate backup big and we're not worried about exactly what that second unit looks like because we have a bevy of guards that we can throw out in a multitude of ways where we can have a 2-point guard lineup, a more traditional lineup, a lineup where it's a lot of shooters and we can just line them up and we have so many different attacking options. But then when we want to just have a get the ball down low, pick and roll, not pick and pop, pick and roll, get it down low, and just a big who's going to bang. Sorry, but Bassey's not really going to cut it moving forward if we want to be a winning ball club, and especially if he's getting hurt a lot. He's had ACL tear, now MCL sprain. I'm questioning his durability a little bit. So, yeah, we have some questions to fill in order to get Sohan back into his natural role.
Well, and you spoke on it with shooting, Rob, and I think we've touched on this before and going back a few weeks, but Devin Vassell, the addition of De'Aaron Fox is supposed to free him up to be that three-point threat.
Yep.
Just hasn't materialized. He played well in Atlanta, and he played well in Orlando. Outside of that, he was 4 for 12 last night. Let's see, 0 for 4 from 3, 2 for 8 from 3 in Washington. Like he's just not. He's not hitting. He's 42% from the field this month and 27% from 3.
Yeah, I mean
we need more.
It just really feels like as a team in general. Like I was doing some deep dive on some of our 3-point stats, and 4 out of the 5 spots on the 3-point arc, we are in the bottom quarter in the league in averages. And so whenever I look at it through that percentage, it almost looks like, or from that perspective, it almost looks like we need to stop shooting this many threes because we're a top 5 3-point shooting team. We take I think the 4th, if not the 5th most. And if most of the spots, I think it's the right corner where we shoot over 43%. So if we shoot from the right corner every time, then, but
do we got Bruce Bowen somewhere or something?
Right. That's what I was thinking. I mean,
Sean Elliott.
All I'm picturing is Harrison Barnes. He loves to just hit those ones in the corner, and
he's probably the reason why we even have the percentage we have.
Yeah. Well, and I think that speaks to poor shot selection more than anything. You don't know your strengths, or you're not playing to them. And again, I think that's something that all comes back to coaching. That's something that should be fixable. Is find your strengths on the floor, play to your strengths, and the fact that you're not seeing that develop or you've seen that stagnate, it's a little alarming to me.
It's definitely alarming because Mitch Johnson's going to find himself not in the NBA coaching at all. I mean, he'll find something in the future. I'm sure he'll be fine. But at this point in time, I mean, he said he needs to reassess the lineups and stuff during the All-Star break. My question to you guys is, if you're a Spur not going to the All-Star game, what are you doing during the All-Star break? Are you staying in San Antonio, or are you going on vacation?
Hookers and blow.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm looking at the weather forecast, but I'm probably going on vacation. San Antonio will be here. If I'm that rich, I'm going on vacation.
Yeah, facts.
Just phoning it in as a player.
I mean, I think most would agree with that sentiment.
What, the hookers and blow or the vacation sentiment?
I think probably both. A little bit of both.
You on vacation?
4K no less goes.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't think those things were mutually exclusive.
It's true. It's true.
But one thing that did happen last night, that was De'Aaron Fox's 5th game as a Spur. When we look at his first 5 games as a Spur, he's putting up about 21, 8, and 4, about 50% from the field, but only 28% from beyond the arc. When we look at his plus minus, it's plus 11, but I think a lot of that is due to the plus 25 against Washington. So whenever I look at it from this perspective, I view De'Aaron Fox as he's fitting in pretty well so far, but I also think that there's going to need to be maybe another layer of him learning the plays, just getting used to where guys want the ball, because it just seems like things aren't 100% out there, or maybe he's not 100% out there.
Well, I mean, we know now that finger is not 100% and will require surgery in the off season.
Yep.
And so, AJ, I think you called that, if I'm not mistaken. And so that and we knew that there wasn't elite 3-point shooting coming with De'Aaron Fox. What we were getting is an elite driver. But I think it speaks to the moves that need to happen to surround him with the 3-point shooting that's necessary. I think maybe some of those guys are on the team right now, but I think there's a good chunk of them that aren't. I don't know whether that's coming through the draft or coming through free agency, but I think there's a lot of change on the horizon.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think De'Aaron Fox is as advertised.
Yeah.
I think what we wanted him to do is come in and score 20 points a game and make it look effortless. That's kind of what he did last night. There wasn't anything spectacular, I would say. But he gets to the line. I mean, he drives and gets to the line, and that's what I would love to see more of from a lot of our guys.
He takes pressure off of Wemby because he's someone that can put up buckets with Wemby off of the floor and keep the team competitive. You don't have to worry so much about those non-Wemby minutes if he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can just get the ball, someone get the rebound, get it to Fox, bring the ball up the court, pump fake, shot fake, one dribble mid-range. He did it twice in a row last game, and it looked effortless. And it's like, oh, that's a chunk of our offense that no one needs to create it. It's just De'Aaron Fox dribbling 60 feet and then just going to work.
Yeah, and the 3-point shot might be a little off right now, but the mid-range is on point. And so I think that, you get that kind of dynamic score from 17 and in. Not everybody needs to be Steph Curry. And I think in this day and age, especially when you watch a game like last night, people kind of lose sight of that. There's more than one way to skin this cat. And I think that Wemby and De'Aaron Fox is a very promising pairing to have. That being said, they are 2-3 since De'Aaron Fox got here.
Yeah. I mean, we've played. I think the only really understandable loss is to Boston. I mean, we're always going to lose. We're always going to lose to Boston, but the loss to Charlotte and the loss to Orlando, those are very, very winnable games. Like losing the way we did to Charlotte by not getting out on that corner 3. Like, holy shit, we need Castle to rotate. We need him to close out on Miles Bridges, and it just didn't happen. And Miles Bridges hit that shot like it was the pool ball that he threw through his girlfriend's windshield.
I knew that was coming. I knew something like that. But no, you can't lose games to teams that aren't trying to win games.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest cardinal sin at this point. You're just trying to build any kind of momentum, any kind of good vibes that you can, and it's just really demoralizing to lose back-to-back games, back-to-back nights on game winners at the death of the game. That just it crushes you.
Yeah, especially teams that are going to be in the lottery position. I mean, it's
Orlando.
Orlando, I can handle Orlando. They're playing well. Wagner took it to Wemby a bunch of times. I understand that. Paulo's a fucking stud. I always love Paulo's game, so he'll be a great future Spur. but that's for another day. But yeah, I mean, you losing to the Hornets the way we did, and then losing to the Magic the way we did, it was just, especially for Wemby. I don't know how many game winners he's had with us. I can't think of many, but now that we've seen him take a last second shot, I mean, it looked good. He just didn't make it. So I'm not upset about it. Yeah, I'm not upset about it, but I hope that fuels him in the future. So whenever he gets these opportunities again, because he's going to get them again, that those shots go in.
I think the All-Star break is coming at a very good time for this team. Just because, coming off of losses like Charlotte, Orlando, Boston, you get outclassed a little bit going in. You probably know that they're the better team, but just the way they've looked this month, this break is coming at the right time. Hopefully they can do whatever they need to do, whether that's vacation, stay at home, stay in the gym, whatever it is, to get refocused and come up strong in the second half of the season, because there are some winnable games on the horizon when you look at the schedule.
There's only 30 more games left.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are.
It is the push.
It's a sprint now.
We got to get these wins coming out the gate and playing the Suns. That'd be a really huge win. Beating the Pistons will also be another big win. You should beat the Pelicans ideally. So
you get them twice in a row. No Herb Jones anymore.
Yeah, you should be able to beat the Pelicans. If we struggle with the Pelicans, then I'm a little nervous about the rest of this season.
Yeah, you get.
We had moments where I was worried against the Wizards. So I mean, the Pelicans could give us some trouble as well. So I don't want to count those as wins, but I agree. I think that we should take the All-Star break and just really refocus and really just say, hey, what were we saying at the beginning of the season? We said that this was about winning. We're not going to be satisfied with a 20-something win season, and right now we're kind of playing like it. And so I think that if we just refuel and kind of just reprioritize why we're playing the way we're playing, and I can't help but think that we're going to come out with a new mindset after the All-Star break.
Well, yeah, and I said it on Twitter last night, going into the All-Star break, you're 23-29, and that probably should feel better than it actually does. You've won more games in the first half of the season than you've won in either of the previous 2 years. So on that alone, you would think we should be feeling a little bit better, but just because the last 6 or 7 games have played out the way they have, it's just hard to have those good vibes, those warm and fuzzies.
I just hope that our core people like Vassell, Keldon, Sohan, the guys who've been here for the past couple of seasons who were in those rotations, don't get complacent with this losing nonsense, because at times it does feel that they're just like, we lost another one. Well.
Are they our core pieces, though?
I think they all get moved in the offseason.
I don't think Sohan gets moved. I think Vassell and Keldon have great contracts that could work very well into a trade. Now, I'm not the one to sit and spend any time on the trade machine because, quite frankly, I think I have better things to do.
Well, also now it's all fucked up because of the Luka trade, so who knows what those trade things look like now.
Yeah, I don't even think you could have gotten that Luka trade done in 2K if you wanted to.
No, it would have probably been like, you need more picks. It'd have been like, you definitely need more picks.
I have no experience in 2K. I haven't played in like 5 years, but yeah, that was wild.
But at the same time, yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. Those contracts would really match up well if we were to trade Vassell, Keldon, maybe one of our key asset draft picks. We could bring in somebody like a really, really big name wing player to really just bolster what we're doing from, obviously point guard in De'Aaron Fox and front court player in Wemby. I think that would be also that big three that we really want to see.
This is a loaded draft, and we know the Spurs' previous luck in draft classes. And so, with 2 picks that prime to be decent, maybe you get lucky. Maybe there's just enough depth there that you can find somebody. But I don't think the draft can be overlooked at this point. But it's also a little too early for us to really dive deep into that, right?
Right.
Yeah, a lot
but
can
I
happen.
mean, hey, we're experiencing the benefit of the draft right now in Stephon Castle. I mean, the last 10 games he's putting up like 18, 4, and 3,
He's been
and he's
balling.
shooting about 40% from beyond the arc. So it's, we're seeing him kind of blossom a little bit even in his rookie season.
He's back up atop the NBA's rookie ladder right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to win NBA. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. It's going to be the first
Very
time
possible.
in about a decade that a team has won back-to-back Rookie of the Years, which is crazy.
Hopefully, we get some more wins to make that look a little bit better.
Yeah, and with Castle, he just needs to. He's making a lot of rookie mistakes at times. The leaving bridges open. Obviously that's the biggest one as of late. But I think once he becomes a little more comfortable with playing in the NBA and understanding kind of his role and what he needs to do, he's going to get a lot better in those open 3-pointers, and the fourth quarter won't happen, hopefully, ever. I'm just hoping. But we do have a huge perimeter defense problem, and until we get that addressed, we're going to struggle, especially with a lot of these teams that are coming up. A lot of them are West teams that shoot a lot of threes. I'm looking at some of the schedule right now, and our last 4 include the Clippers, Warriors, Suns, and then we end with the Raptors. So, those 3 games alone we're going to get tested because those teams are going to be looking to either get out of the play-in and into an actual playoff spot, or they're looking to be in the play-in, and that's going to be a really, really tough challenge for us. And I'm going to be curious to see how our guys respond because, hey, it's crunch time. It's crunch time, and if Chris Paul wants to leave a legacy, make this team get them to the play-in games and see what happens.
Yeah, and to that point, I think, and we've touched on it a little bit, these lineups, if we're going to see that jump in competitiveness, these lineups need to be adjusted. I love Chris Paul and what he's done for us this year, but I think it's time to seriously consider a move to the bench because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have him and De'Aaron Fox out there sharing a bulk of minutes, and it's hurting Stephon Castle's minutes. I think there's ways that you can work around that and still get Chris Paul that second unit time to where he can look for his shot a little bit more and be aggressive like he was last night and not hurt the development of the younger guys.
Yeah,
So
that's very true.
What would be my starting 5?
Yeah.
So I'd probably go Fox, Vassell, Barnes, Sohan, Wemby. I know that's not a lot of shooting, but I also think it's probably the best 5 right now.
I agree that positionally that would make the most sense. I would just worry, like you're saying, I would just worry about if Harrison Barnes and Wemby are kind of lacking a little bit, and it's one of those games where they're shooting high 20s. It's like, Vassell hasn't been having enough of those 6 for 7, 7 for 8 kind of games where he just puts the team on his back to be that main shooter.
And it's crazy because Devin Vassell this year, I'm pulling up his stats right now. He's about career average from behind the arc, which is 37%. Yeah, no, he's a career 36.6% three-point shooter, and this year he's shooting about 35.5. So, you would think if you have Devin Vassell, Wemby, who's about at 35.5 as well, Harrison Barnes, you would think that would be enough of at least a shooting threat, but in actuality, it hasn't been. And so that's why I think there's just upgrades to make. And you could replace Barnes with Champagny. Those guys are, I think, interchangeable at this point in the starting lineup. But
I would definitely rather have Barnes for just the veteran support. If we're not having Chris Paul out there, I kind of like having Barnes just for that,
I do too.
that experience and leadership.
I'd rather have a guy that doesn't get punked by his own twin brother.
But there's definitely a lot of head scratching rotations that have been happening recently. So there's a lot of Mitch Johnson questions, and hopefully he answers them sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
and I don't want to put it all on him because the roster construction isn't great, but yeah, the rotations. Just surf Twitter on an average Spurs game, and you'll see a whole lot of just variation of complaints.
Yeah, and before we move on to, we got to get to the All-Star weekend stuff and our picks and whatnot, but we signed Bismack for a 10-day contract, and he hasn't even sniffed the floor. So, I mean, we got to.
Whoa! He played 26 seconds last night.
Oh, he played 26 seconds.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
And it was the first time we saw Jordan McLaughlin take the court. He played a full 26 seconds as well. So we need to congratulate him on getting his first Spurs minutes, or excuse me, first half minute.
Shout out to them. There's still no Bertier, but we're getting there. So I just
reminds me a lot of myself in high school.
Well, I'm just going. We signed him for a 10-day. Like, throw him in the second quarter. Give him the Bronny James experiment. Who gives a shit? Like, at this point, we just need to put someone out there to see what it looks like. I mean, just give us some kind of opportunity. Throw something out there and see if it works.
We limped Zach Collins out there. I don't see how Bismack could be any worse.
Mamu played a handful of minutes the other night too. So, like, we can do it. Just do it. Like, there's no reason that lineup that I said earlier. There's no reason for us to run that lineup. Like, that lineup is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not the only one. It's not the only one.
No, there's several. I mean, just open up Twitter and type in Mitch Johnson, and you'll see a whole bevy of people making all kinds of memes and pictures and whatnot, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Not that I want to live life on Twitter, but yeah, it's rough on there for Mitch.
It's hard out there for a Mitch.
I mean, it's tough in the NBA hot seat, and when you're an NBA coach, you are always on the hot seat. So
especially with Wemby, if Wemby's on your team, you are always going to get looked at through a microscope.
He needs to go out to some nice ass restaurant in San Antonio with Pop, and Pop needs to make him kiss the ring, and I don't know what he's got to do. He's got to play his devil magic or whatever it is, but yeah, if Pop's not coming back this season, something's got to change.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, 30 games, guys. 30 games. We'll see what this train takes us. We'll see where this train takes us. It's either going to go straight through the tunnel or it's going to go off a cliff. So either way, we're strapped in and we're going to see what happens. We always have a chance. Always have a chance when you have Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just promising the fact that we were aggressive on this trade deadline, because so many other trade deadlines, as we know, Spurs fans for decades, it hasn't been that case. We're usually quiet and very modest, maybe picking up one role player. Never do we acquire an all-star guy. So I think just at this point in the season, to have an all-star guy that is a few games into his tenure in San Antonio, I think that's just so exciting, and it's a place we haven't been in a long time.
Yeah, it's great.
Not since LaMarcus Aldridge or something like that. I
remember that day.
Yeah,
those were the days. We didn't know we were in the good old days when we were in them, but we were there.
Yep, we certainly were.
Well,
so it's All-Star weekend, huh?
Yeah, we got some All-Stars doing some things.
We got
San
some
Francisco,
Spurs out
California.
There. We got at least a couple of Spurs out there.
We got a few Spurs out there, man.
Yeah, we got, obviously, Victor Wembanyama, first-time All-Star. And I love what he was saying. He was saying, I'm going to get crazy out there. I'm going to hustle on every play. And if he's the only one that's doing it and standing out, then he's cool with it. So I like that. He's trying to bring some competitiveness to the weekend. And that is much, much needed, because the product throughout the course of the weekend has been pretty lame. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. When you look at it in its totality, there's certain segments that are nice, of course. Like we were talking about the celebrity game, and certain aspects of the dunk contest are cool, but a lot of the weekend is a snooze fest. So I want to see some competition.
Yeah, I want to see some competition. And, it's interesting. They're going head-to-head this weekend against the NHL All-Star Game, who's trying a new format. I don't know if y'all have seen this. They're doing a 4 nations format. So they're taking the 4 most populous nations in the NHL, excluding Russia, and doing like a tournament. So it's the U.S., Canada, Finland, and Sweden.
And no, not Finland.
I think
Sorry, that was a line. That was a line for all of our viewers. That was a line that Rob and I used to say to
South
each other
Park.
because of South Park.
Yeah.
And we would be in college, just drunk at 2:45 in the morning. Go, oh no, not Philly.
Oh my gosh, that is.
Sorry, James. Talking about your hockey.
But it'll be interesting to see kind of the returns that the NBA has in this new tournament style format going up against a peer league and a new tournament style format themselves. I saw someone say that if they're doing a 4-nation style all-star game in hockey, they should all be playing at the same time and just have like 2 rinks kind of like intertwined together. And I was like, well, now you're talking. Now you're getting crazy. Like, if we're gonna change things, let's change things. But
you mean like war games, but hockey style?
That would be that'd be like almost like Gladiator meets like hockey, but like we could make that happen with basketball as well. Just have like 2 games happening, just right across from each other, just right on, like basically just
dude.
Intersecting, yeah.
Old school tournament or summer camp days, dog. Just no 3-point line, barely a free throw. There's a mark, but it's not really the length, and just run 2 games. But I'm excited for Wemby's team. I think Wemby's team is stacked. I don't think the other teams can compete with Wemby, Jokic, Giannis, SGA. Who they had? Is Kyrie on their team now, or is it Trey? One of the two. I mean, I think that the team itself is just stacked. I think they win. I think they win the whole thing.
Charles drafted all the foreigners.
Right. I mean, well, he's got the 3 best players on planet Earth, arguably. Yeah. Or actually, not really arguably.
Maybe even 4 of like the top 6. I mean, when you throw Wemby in there with Shea, Jokic, and Giannis, I mean, Jesus.
I was throwing Wemby in there. Yeah, I was saying Jokic, SGA, Wemby. That's the 3 best players in the league right now.
Dude, Chuck's team is so stacked. Like I'm looking at it right now. You have Giannis, SGA.
They're not going to win, but they're stacked.
How are they not going to win?
I don't know. The stacked team never wins.
Dude, but this is like passing the ball stacked. It's not just we're stacked. Like Jokic's not going to score any points, but he's going to have 40 assists.
It's the Monstars.
They're something. The foreign stars is what they are. So right. I mean, you got Cat. Cat's going to just sit up at the 3-point line, and him and Wemby are going to exchange threes.
It's the European Union out there.
Right. NATO, well, and they got Şengün as well. So yeah, they're just
this team's stacked, man.
They got representation from all over the place.
Like I don't see any other team unless it's like the Rising Stars team that just they play well together or whatever. I'm looking at the other 2 squads, and I'm just not impressed with Kenny's team, who is the Young Stars. I think they're good, but I mean they're not Chuck's team. And then I'm looking at Shaq's team, and like I hope they got some like WD-40 and some Bengay, because they're gonna have some hurt knees, man. That's an old ass team.
Yeah, that would have been a really sick team in like 2016.
Kind of like the team the Mavs are putting together.
Right. Honestly, yeah.
Kyrie, AD, and Clay, sign me up in 2018.
Right. Yeah. I loved when you were saying that. That was on point. But at the same time, those are the kind of guys that can randomly put up huge buckets in an all-star game, and LeBron will have his quiet 25, and Curry will just start raining them, and you're like, damn! All of a sudden, we're kind of getting cooked by these old dudes.
Yeah, it's like a game at the Y.
Yeah,
go out there, and the dudes whose balls hanging out of his shorts are cooking you.
So, James, Rob, who do you have winning the all-star game? What do we call it? The tournament or something?
I think I'm gonna have Team Chuck. I think I got Chuck winning it. Yeah, I think it's just too many great players in their prime. I mean, if I'm gonna put money on the game, which I'm not, but at the same time, that's who I would bet on. I might. I mean,
I would probably just go Team Shaq, just because I think they'll try a little bit harder on average. But I do think that effort will be picked up this year. I really do. And so I think that it'll actually be worth our time watching. I hope anyways.
If it's not, then the NBA is in big trouble, because if they have, because this kind of happened last year. It's like they had this huge build up to the game. Like Friday night went well, Saturday night went well, and then you get to Sunday and it just lays an egg. And if that's going to happen again, then obviously the NBA is going to be looking at themselves like we had all this momentum going into the biggest time of the year with crazy trades that happen, fans that are happy, fans that are pissed. Everyone's now watching. The NFL's over. And then if you come in and this game's not competitive on Sunday, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, like you really got to assess, like, do we continue doing this? Do we change it up again for like, the third time in 4 years kind of thing? The NBA needs to capitalize, and they have to be competitive.
For all the consternation about the NBA and where their momentum is at, and some rightfully so, they took the whole week prior to the Super Bowl from the NFL.
They sure did.
All basketball, all Luka, all trades, all what could happen, when can it happen. So as much as you hear belly aching in the media about the state of the NBA, didn't seem that bad last week.
Right.
No,
but that was unprecedented, though. That was something, two All NBA guys getting traded mid-season. That's never happened before. So it took something that literally we've never seen before to do that. So I think that speaks volumes as to what needs to happen in the basketball world to kind of overtake that media.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, AJ, there's no more football. So it's all you now. So you got to put on that show.
Oh yeah. Let's hope the All-Star game does a good job of doing that. And one of the guys we've got doing some cool stuff All-Star weekend, Stephon Castle. He's going to be doing some dunks. It's the first Spur in the dunk contest since Greg Cadillac Anderson in 1988. So I'm kind of excited. This is the first time we've ever seen a Spur in the dunk contest in our lifetime. Yeah. Do y'all think he wins?
I think he's more of a game dunker, but also, other than Mac McClung, I have no idea who's in it.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea who's in it at all. I was just speaking highly of Stephon Castle. Like, do you think he's going to win it?
No, I'm going to go with Mac in a three-peat.
Yeah, probably.
I'm gonna be a homer. I'll be the homer. I'll pick Castle just because, he's a great in-game dunker, and maybe he has some stuff up his sleeve that we don't know about. And if you get a really cool, like, slow motion dunk, considering we now have fan voting, which I think is a huge piece that no one's really talking about in the All-Star or the dunk contest, that fan voting is really key because we've seen some real shitty judges in the past. I mean, Chris Webber was terrible. There's some other older. Dr. J was pretty bad a couple years. Like, there's just the fan voting. I think is going to push, hopefully, Castle over the edge because we're going to be watching it in a different lens than they are.
Are you not also a homer if you pick Mac McClung though?
I'm cool with either one. I might put money on both and see what happens.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean that is true. Mac McClung is Lubbock, born and raised. No, I'm just kidding. He's not.
Fun fact about Mac McClung, if you don't know this, and we might be speaking into the ether, but if you are familiar with Mac McClung, he went to Georgetown, transferred over to Texas Tech in college, and Texas Tech at the time was a Under Armour school. So all the players had Under Armour gear, Under Armour shoes, all that stuff. When we got Mac McClung, he was like, I'm not going to wear your Under Armour. And so what Tech did, they were like, all right, well, we want you, so we'll let you do it. And so he wore Nike shoes, but just took off the swoosh on there and replaced it with double T's. Fun fact.
Huh. I never noticed that. I mean, I guess that was a Chris Beard thing because he played under him, unfortunately, but we'll claim one and not the other.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. And the skills challenge too, Chris Paul and Wemby. I think that's a pretty good duo. It's going to be fun to see. It's for that skills challenge. It's all about no mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the format of that. I don't remember if it was the same as last year or not.
Just like a one round and then the finals or something. I forgot what the format is too.
Yeah,
Stay tuned.
I mean, at the end of the day, like if it is like it was last year, and it's kind of like a dynamic, like continuously moving contest, like I think that we're gonna be pretty solid because I don't recall any bigs that are in there that can handle the rock nearly as well as Wemby can, and I think that we're really underestimating his passing. That's also a large part of the skills challenge.
I think Wemby and CP3 win the skills challenge. That'll be my Spurs prediction. I think they'll win that.
It's not going to be Draymond and Moses Moody. That's for sure.
No Jokic this year.
No Jokic. So we got Team Cavs, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Team Rooks, or really Team France. What's his face? The Atlanta Hawks pick. Ricochet.
Zachary Ricochet.
Ricochet. And Alex Sarr, and then Team Spurs, which is Wemby and CP3, and then Team Warriors, Draymond and Moses Moody.
I think Team Cavs is your only real competition there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. They've played together for a while.
Yeah, and also Evan Mobley will look really good in the Spurs uniform. I'm just going to throw that out
So
there.
that will never happen. They're never letting that guy go.
Nope. Yeah,
I wonder-
he's far too valuable on both ends of the court. He's just blossoming as an offensive player, so I don't think that they're really.
And
they're
was
never going to entertain any of that.
That was a hell of a trade that Kobe Altman pulled off getting DeAndre Hunter in there. They were talking about it last night on the broadcast and how that helps Cleveland go up against Boston. It just gives them another plus perimeter defender. Good trade by them.
Great trade.
I think they are the only team in the East that comes to mind that is, I think, competition for Boston. I think Cleveland can push them.
I agree.
Absolutely.
They match up really well with them. It's just a matter of if Boston can make all their three-pointers.
I mean, they shot 55 of them last night.
It's insane.
They only made 18. I say only 18, but when you shoot 55, I mean,
Well, it was 55, and we didn't get to this, but real quick, it was 55, long rebound, and they get second chance points, whether that's an easy two or open three, but that's beside the point. So either way, this is going to be fun to watch, the skills challenge. Now, the three-point contest, guys, which is my personal favorite. I don't know about you guys.
well, yeah, white basketball player. Of course, it's the 3-point contest. It wasn't the dunk contest. Where do you think I saw myself in?
James is there after practice with the racks. He's asked T-Ward, like, dude, I can get this.
I don't even know. I don't even know the field this year. Who is it?
Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero. There's your pick. Buddy Hield, Cam Johnson, Damian Lillard, Norm Powell.
I think I'm going to go Darius Garland.
Yeah, I mean Darius Garland. I mean, to me, Damian Lillard, he does so well in this competition. I think I might go Lillard, but at the same time, I like the shooting season that Norman Powell's had. So I think that Powell might just fire that and just put up a really nasty couple of rounds, and he might just walk away with it. So those would be two guys I would definitely look at, but I mean, I think Cade's having a great season, but I don't view him as like a 3-point contest kind of guy.
No. And to your point, Rob, it's always interesting about the 3-point contest where you can learn like who's meant for that and who's a game shooter.
Yeah.
Because getting the ball off the rack and shooting like that and timing it under a minute, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, look at Matt Bonner.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of great shooters have had.
Set it and forget it.
Plenty of great shooters have had a hard time in the 3-point contest because it's so
here.
atypical.
You're here instead of like here.
Yeah.
So it's different. Hey, call me crazy. Give me Jalen Brunson.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it either, but I also view him as one of those guys that's not necessarily like
game shooter.
Yeah, he's more of a game shooter. I think he benefits from having a defender like pulling up on somebody. I think he
come off a pick and roll, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he kind of needs that edge a little bit, but at the same time, he could go out there and surprise you. He's super talented.
I'm surprised there's no Warriors in the 3-point contest.
Buddy Hield.
Buddy. Yeah. I mean,
maybe. I mean, Buddy has a chance. He's a great shooter, and he's
a great shooter. Yeah.
That's what he does. So, I mean, he has a chance. So we'll see if we'll see how this all turns out. I'm curious to see what happens, because this is, you're right. It's a completely different muscle. How you go, picking up the ball, and also you got to do it under a minute. And if you get too lackadaisical, you're rushing your shot towards the end of those racks. And the way that they do like the 2-point, the full rack now, it's gonna be it's fun to watch. It's always fun to see who gets hot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff that's happening in All-Star Weekend. Obviously we hope the games are more competitive, but we're excited about the dunk contest, the 3-point contest, the celebrity game. Obviously, All-Star Weekend in general is just a good time for teams to reset and refocus for the last chunk of the season. But it's also a time that we can kind of just reflect on how we've been playing so far. So it's kind of been nice to just talk about that and all that good stuff. But it kind of feels like we're leading towards some dunks.
So we're gonna have our own dunk contest.
Right. That's like kind of what it feels like we're leading towards.
James.
Yeah.
James,
Yeah.
you haven't been on, and I'm curious to know who your dunk is, because I'm sure you have a bunch of dunks, considering that you have baby now, and maybe you got some baby dunks.
Who you dunking on?
I really don't have any baby dunks yet. I mean, diapers aren't great, but whatever. Actually, shout out to you, AJ, because those Pampers were great. We're still working on those.
Let's go.
But I think my dunk is going to have to come out of Dallas and out of the ashes of the Luka trade. The counter messaging that has come from the Mavs front office and the media. There's a few dunks. You've got Patrick Dumont, the governor of the team, walking into the arena the other night and getting rightfully booed, and just looking around and asking, "Is that for me? Of course it's for you, dummy! Like, why wouldn't it be for you?" And to see the organization throwing fans out for simply mouthing "Fire Nico" on the Jumbotron, like, it's the most incredibly soft thing. And I don't know if y'all saw that SMU game where Nico went and he got the "Fire Nico" chant there too. But it's just the softest thing that a loyal fan base, and I know we hate the Mavs and we hate Mavs fans, but they have been a loyal fan base through a lot of shit. And to be treated like that by their own front office, that in and of itself is dunk worthy on Nico Harrison and Patrick Dumont for their obliviousness to why they would be booed and to the reaction to throw fans out. It's very James Dolan-ish. And then the media aspect of it, when you have a mouthpiece like Tim McMahon go on his podcast on ESPN and call out a local reputable Mavs reporter for making up, or he said that he made up a story about the death threats that Nico Harrison didn't get. He's like, I forget the verbiage that Tim McMahon used, but he's had some questionable takes in the past, and to take out a respected reporter by saying that he was a wannabe for going against his story and then offering a half-hearted apology, I just thought was weak from someone who is already not my favorite reporter. So just this whole Mavs counter messaging about this Luka trade and their just head in the clouds nature, that deserves to be dunked on, because those fans did not deserve what they got.
Sure.
Or maybe they did. No, yeah. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to dunk on the Mavs fans.
No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, no one deserves to get shit on that way. And I think you're seeing the response from fans, and it's very appropriate. You're seeing backlash from season ticket holders. Yeah. They're wanting out of their season tickets. Yeah.
Because to me, like in Europe,
fight back.
This is a European kind of thing. And in America, we take what the sports owners and the powers that be in these leagues tell us laying down. And to see fans reacting, even if we think it's overreacting by having funerals in the parking lot of the stadium and whatnot, like, I like to see the emotion. I like to see the fans revolting against their own power structure, because like that's a bullshit trade. And to see Mark Cuban, of all people, trying to tell fans to sit down and shut up, basically, that's super discouraging because 25 years ago, that Mark Cuban would have been out of his skull hearing about this trade.
It's so crazy because I live in the Metroplex, so I see how these Mavs fans are reacting to these things. And there's two Mavs fans. One is, I hate the GM, I hate the team, I'm mad as hell. And the other one is, well, he shouldn't have been out of shape. And I think that like the latter is so weird to say.
It's Luka fucking Doncic.
And to defend your GM and to defend your organization and say, oh, no, we're still in a good place is absolutely asinine to me. Ask a 9, ask a 10, ask 11, ask 100. So, like, that's how I feel about that. And then I do feel bad for Mavs fans because the majority of them are Cowboys fans. And Rob, or James, to your point where you're saying everyone just kind of lies down and takes it because ownership does. That's what they just got done doing in the football season. And then they come over to the Mavs and they're like, oh, no, we got shit on again. But this time they did it to our face and we didn't have anything to wipe it off with. We just wiped off Jerry's shit off our face.
Well, so they took the whole future away. Cowboys fans are always going to be Cowboys fans. But, I mean, AD goes down in the third quarter of his debut. How bleak is it to be a Mavs fan today?
They got the full AD experience in one game. literally went off for like a 30-10 game, had an amazing performance, and then just got hurt, and then immediately was like, oh, he may be out for the season. It's like it's really, really bad. They didn't even specify it. They were just like a lower body injury at first. I was like, oh my God.
It's hockey ass injury.
It is literally just the air got sucked out of the room just when that happened. It looked.
It's real bad, okay?
Yeah, especially non-contact. Like, dude, what? Like the odds of that happening were, obviously pretty good, but I mean,
it's crazy how it's just poetry in motion, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. So yeah, I think after all the Mavs fans went through, they deserve to dunk on somebody, and I will do it for them. So Patrick Dumont, Tim McMahon, and Nico Harrison, you've been yammed on.
Boom.
Rob, who you dunking on?
I got a very personal dunk today. I'm dunking on the Blanton Art Museum in Austin because me and my fiance, we did a photo shoot there recently, and they were kind of douchebags about it.
Really?
Yeah. On the website, it says like no professional photography, like no. Basically, if you're causing a disturbance with your photo shoot, it's going to be a problem. No lights, no setting up tripods, none of that stuff. But we went at the beginning of the day completely dead, and we were absolutely hassled by multiple employees. They were just like walking by like, are y'all taking pictures? Are y'all doing this? And honestly, just a really, really, sour experience. Even though we did get a lot of awesome pictures, it was still a lot of needless stress on that day. So it was, just a lot of frustration from a place that we actually like. So
was it during the week?
No, it was on a Saturday morning, but literally no one was fucking there. Like, and yeah, it was, if we were disrupting people, sure. Like, tell us to stop all that shit. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but there was no one fucking there. Like, why be a douchebag museum employee if that's the case? So museum employees, you got dunked on. And I wasn't going to say this individual's name, but Lindsay, you were definitely a douchebag. You got dunked on specifically.
Fuck your couch, Lindsay.
Yeah, seriously. You just straight up dunked on. Like, all of those employees just seemed like they were grasping on to the littlest, tiniest bit of power that they had in their life, and they wanted to flex it. They were like, oh my goodness, you can't take pictures here. It's like, go fuck yourself. Get yammed on.
It's an art museum.
Right.
Pictures are art. No,
right.
That's disappointing. We loved the Blanton when we went. So, yeah, that's disappointing to hear.
Right. You got yammed on, though. Sorry.
Man, whenever you said Blanton,
nuts in the face.
I was like, "Damn, Rob, you drinking some good bourbon or what?" I was like, "Wait, you went to Kentucky?" But then you're like in Austin. I was like, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm so sorry." I went to Turning Point earlier and had a couple beers, so maybe that's where my mind is.
You're all good?
I smoked a joint 20 minutes ago, so I'm a little spacey cowboy. What's wrong with you, Kemosabe?
AJ, you got a dunk coming up.
Well, I feel like I should dunk on Drake because everyone has all week, and it's been fun to listen to and watch. So maybe that can be my dunks. But honestly, this is my dunk, and it drives me absolutely insane every single time I see this. When you go to the gym, you wear gym clothes. And by gym clothes, I mean closed-toed shoes, shorts or sweatpants, and a shirt or a sweatshirt or whatever. I don't care what you wear on top. My problem is your feet and your pants. Like, if you're walking into the gym with slides on, you're not serious about the gym. If you're walking into the gym in your pajama pants, you're not serious about the gym. So why don't you get the fuck out of my way and go curl somewhere else, because I got things to do. And those people drive me absolutely off the wall. And honestly, I think it's just Gen Z. Like, I really think it's just Gen Z who's doing it, because I don't see anyone our age or older doing it. And I'm like, I could never walk out the house with slides on to go work out. And like, I don't understand how you can be safe in that environment. You're going to break a toe, like, easily.
Yeah, to wear slides out the house is one thing, but to not change when you get there, that's a different mindset.
And it's not like I go to a gym that has a basketball court. It's just a gym. So like, you're just wearing your socks in the middle of like, how are you gonna do cardio, dog?
Bro, unfortunately, I know multiple people just like you're describing that would show up to a gym, wear pajama pants, a wife beater, and slides, and then proceed to work out harder than I've ever worked out in my entire life. And I'm just like, well, how?
Yeah, they're either a slapdick or a complete menace.
I've only seen the slapdicks up here. I've only seen the slapdicks. So, gym etiquette. Let's call it that. Gym etiquette. Right. You've been dunked on.
Right. Because even though you're at the gym, you're still in public. Yeah. Act like it.
Like I said, how are you going to do cardio?
Yeah.
You can't run on a treadmill with slides?
You're telling me. But everyone, if you are still listening to the podcast at this point and you just listen to all of our wonderful dunks, guys, we love you. We appreciate you for listening. We appreciate you for supporting the Baseline Bums, especially now that we're on Love You Hard TV. We definitely appreciate all of our new listeners, all of our new followers, people that are wanting some new Spurs content. We got you covered. We're putting out tons of new shorts. We got tons of new exciting videos that we're planning, live events, new guests that are coming on. A lot of really fun stuff in the future. So definitely we appreciate the fact that you're here. And I think we're going to end this episode the same way we end all the episodes, guys. Let's give them a nice big go. A Spurs. A go.